This year, almost every football supporter was expecting Kylian Mbappe's move to Real Madrid, but that transfer was not supposed to happen. This is not something unusual in football. The clubs agree on the player's move, but at the very last moment something goes wrong. We have completed a list of the failed transfers. We're going to tell you stories of when a player was very close to signing a contract, but eventually it failed. But before we start, check your knowledge and take part in a small quiz. In 2010, Robert Lewandowski was a step away from moving to Blackburn, but despite the agreed contract, the transfer failed. What was the reason for the failure? Exorbitant transfer fee, too large salary, eruption of a volcano, traffic jams? Write your answer in the comments and we get started with our video. Nabil Fekir, from Lyon to Liverpool. After Felipe Coutinho moved to Barcelona, Liverpool was left without a top playmaker. Jurgen Klopp had no decent replacement for him, so the Reds were in a search of a player who could fulfill the loss of a very important player. They chose Nabil Fekir, the captain of the French side Lyon. Actually, the Frenchman was in his prime and proved himself as a real team leader. That's why there were many other clubs willing to sign the player. The press wrote about Nabil's possible move not only to Liverpool, but also to Bayern or Chelsea. But it were the Reds that managed to agree the transfer and started talks with Fekir. The transfer fee was to be 52 million euros, which was quite a big sum for 2018. Especially considering the fact that the club had paid more only 3 times in their history. Nabil Fekir would fit Klopp's system like a glove. He was able to press high, perform as a playmaker, false nine or on a wing. It was all agreed. The Liverpool physios even flew to Paris to organize Fekir's fitness test, but it appeared to be bad. The English side was concerned with the player's knee problems because the Frenchman had torn ligaments and missed almost a season. Torn ligaments is arguably the most dangerous injury in football, which can ruin almost any footballer's career as there's quite a high chance of repetition. Fekir denied that his transfer had failed because of his health problems and blamed his agent. I saw plenty of things which weren't true. It was said the knee stopped me going to Liverpool, but that wasn't true. I had a problem with my agent, my advisor. It was the agent who was responsible for the deal not going through. Of course, I was disappointed not to go to Liverpool, very disappointed, because Liverpool are a great club. However, Liverpool walked away and Fekir didn't move to a top club. Today, he performs for Real Betis instead. By the way, he hasn't had any serious injuries since then. Dear friends, please support us by liking this video, subscribing to our channel and turning on the notifications. We need your help to promote our channel and create new videos for you. Malcom, from Bordeaux to Roma. The Corinthians academy product Malcom moved to the French side Bordeaux in 2016 and started showing bright and beautiful football right away. His pace, dribbling and great shot from the left made Malcom one of the most talented and promising teenagers in Europe, and at the end of the next year many top clubs showed interest in him. Roma was the club that was most determined to get the Brazilian. The Italians were in the talks with Bordeaux a whole week and eventually declared about a successfully closed deal. All Malcom had to do was get on the plane, fly to Rome and sign all the documents. But at the airport the Brazilian received a message from Bordeaux that he should wait a little. The Tifosi never saw Malcom in Rome because Barcelona stepped in and made a far more lucrative offer. Roma were literally in a shock as they were trying to persuade the Bordeaux bosses to close the deal urgently, but they didn't even move. In 2 days, they officially declared about Malcom's transfer to Barcelona. Roma was ditched. That's why all the Romans could do was threaten them with a court. But these were just words. Malcom moved to Barcelona for 41 million euros and signed a long-term contract. Probably Barca regretted this deal later, but eventually they managed to make some money on the player. Cristiano Ronaldo, from Juventus to Manchester City. In 2018, Cristiano Ronaldo moved from Real Madrid to Juventus, becoming the most expensive player in the history of the old lady. The Bianconeri had to pay 117 million euros for the 33-year-old Portuguese, but hardly such a sum was justified. Ronaldo quickly fell out with Allegri, and Juventus fell into a crisis and had to be rebuilt. Last summer, Juventus decided to bring Max Allegri back, which was a negative signal for Cristiano. The Portuguese understood he wasn't going to have enough playing time, and this is something Ronaldo would never be fine with. Jorge Mendes, Ronaldo's agent, immediately started to search for new options for his player, selecting Manchester City as a result. Juve were happy, and Pep Guardiola needed a player who is able to score loads of goals. But there was a small problem. The citizens had too many attacking footballers in the squad, and to buy Ronaldo, they had to get rid of at least one forward. The main candidates for departure were Raheem Sterling, Bernardo Silva, and Gabi Jesus. But no club wanted to pay the sum City demanded. Ronaldo wanted to leave Juventus very much, that's why Mendes implemented Plan B. Out of nowhere, not only the Manchester United representatives got in touch with them, but Sir Alex Ferguson himself. While City were trying to sell someone, United paid the required sum of 15 million plus bonuses and promised Ronaldo the huge salary he demanded. Literally, it took the Red Devils a couple of days to officially conclude the deal, which appeared to be one of the most epic comebacks in history. Because Ronaldo turned into a real professional at Old Trafford, and he always said that Ferguson replaced his father. It is unknown how would the Portuguese perform for City, but for United, deep in crisis, he scored 25 goals. Jesse Lingard, from Man United to Newcastle. This season was a real nightmare for Manchester United, hence they had a lot of problems with their squad. After Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was sacked, Ralf Rangnick was appointed as caretaker manager. The German immediately changed the playing system of the team, giving other footballers a playing time, and the academy graduate Jesse Lingard became unwanted. After his great performance for West Ham a year ago, where he had scored 9 goals and made 5 assists in 16 matches in the Premier League, Lingard was scouted by many clubs. As you know, an investment foundation from Saudi Arabia acquired Newcastle last autumn. The new bosses declared that they were going to bring the former glory to Magpies, but they were going to do so step by step, investing not in the transfers of expensive players, but in those who could complete short-term tasks. Jesse Lingard was ideal for this, as in summer his contract was going to expire, and the Englishman had no desire to sign a new one. This means that the transfer could have been completed for a much lower sum than his transfer value. Besides, Lingard and Bruno played in the same position, so the competition in Man United was intense. In short, the conditions were perfect to complete the transfer. But then the infamous incident with Greenwood occurred. There was silence on the transfer market and a new wave of COVID started. Ralf Rangnick blocked Lingard's move to Newcastle as he was afraid to lose players in such a situation. Unfortunately, the Englishman was unable to perform at Man United in the second half of the season. His departure this summer is a done deal. Maybe he'll move to Newcastle eventually. Lionel Messi, from Barcelona to Manchester City. The main news of the summer transfer window 2020 was Messi's possible departure from Barcelona. The Catalan team suffered another humiliation from Bayern 8-2 in the Champions League and were unable to take the La Liga Champions title from Real Madrid. Yes, and recently Barca had been out of the form with a vast number of obvious problems hanging over them, including numerous mistakes on behalf of the board. All these resulted in a crisis. Messi never hid his displeasure with the club policies, and he openly criticized all that was happening around the club. Leo had 1 year left on his contract, but he didn't even speak about extending it. Naturally, the Argentine was immediately shortlisted by his former coach, Guardiola. Since the coach left Barca, he had been unable to persuade Leo to join his teams, though he had always had great squads. Many pundits think that Messi is the missing factor that would help Guardiola create a perfect team out of the best players on the planet. Of course, Messi's departure would have been painful for Barcelona in crisis. When everything was falling apart, it would have been fatal for the board to let the club symbol go and stay one-on-one with furious fans. Whatever crazy decisions Bartomeu had made, he wasn't going to let Leo go. That's why Barcelona demanded 200 million euros from Messi. Also, City would have had to pay 300 million as bonuses and salary. Leo hadn't even managed to call Pep and discuss his possible move when the press declared that the Sheikhs found this sum unrealistic and decided to sign Messi on a free next summer when his contract expired. Messi met the supporters and stayed in Barca for another season, but Man City were unable to sign him even as a free agent. Apparently, we're not going to see the Leo-Pep duo ever again. Alvaro Morata, from Juventus to Barcelona. Alvaro Morata has been criticized in recent seasons for missing the target too many times, but Max Allegri knew how to approach the Spanish forward. It was Juventus where Morata proved himself and the whole world that he deserved far more than warming the bench at Real Madrid. After an unsuccessful spell at Chelsea, Morata moved to Atletico, but Simeone was unable to unleash the player in his playing system, so the player moved to Juventus on a loan. Morata could not fully replace Cristiano, and the Italians decided to buy a real striker, Vlahovic, while Alvaro asked for a transfer. Barcelona immediately started talks with Morata, offering him a loan spell for half a year with a buyout option in the end. The thing was that the Spaniard was still an Atletico player, but Barca negotiated all the details with the Colchoneros. Their debt for Griezmann's transfer would have been reduced for 40 million euros as compensation for Morata's move. The press were confident the deal was made, but soon the fuss went down and the talks ended in nothing. In a month, Morata commented on the failed transfer. "It doesn't matter now. I talked to Allegri. He told me that I would benefit from the arrival of Vlahovic. That's exactly what happened. I'm happy at Juventus. If I was to decide, I'd stay here forever." But is Alvaro Morata completely honest? Did the transfer fail because of Juve's head coach? We'll never know that. But we know one thing: Barca grabbed Aubameyang instead, and they're happy with their new signing. Luis Suarez, from Barcelona to Juventus. Suarez spent the best years of his career in Barcelona, but the board did not appreciate his efforts in winning various trophies, and in summer 2020 it became obvious that Luis fell out of the club's future plans. They let him know that he should be looking for a new club. Considering the fact that in his worst season the Uruguayan scored 16 goals and made 8 assists in 28 La Liga matches, this was a very unpopular decision which fans did not support. Naturally, many clubs wanted to take advantage of Barca's mistake and to grab a player with almost an ideal flair. And for ridiculous money, Juventus immediately got in touch with Suarez and started contract talks. Suarez had warm feelings for Barca and he would have loved to stay there, but the reality was merciless. So he found Juventus quite an interesting option. The player was in search of an apartment in Turin, passed the language test, but this transfer was not supposed to happen despite having agreed a contract with Juventus. The limit of foreigners in Serie A forced the player to acquire a citizenship. If it was enough to be married an Italian citizen to play in Spain, in Italy this rule didn't work, and the European passport was a must for the footballer. It was impossible to get a citizenship before the Champions League registration, so the deal made no sense. The Uruguayan moved to Atletico and became a real team leader and scored a lot of goals in Spain. Alexis Sanchez, from Arsenal to Manchester City. In January 2018, Alexis Sanchez declared that he was ready for a promotion and that he was not going to drag Wenger's Arsenal on his shoulders anymore. That summer, his contract was running out, and the club was doing all they could to keep their star player in London. They even offered him the highest salary at the club, but even that could not persuade the ambitious player. Alexis wanted to fight for titles and play in the Champions League, and the Gunners had problems with both these aspects. Many clubs were racing for Sanchez's signature. Pep Guardiola even asked the City board to get in touch with the player and offer him a contract. Of course, it wasn't that lucrative, but the Chilean would have got a place in one of the most successful teams in Europe and the chance not just to fight but also win trophies. Besides, Sanchez fit the citizens' game in all aspects. He was a quick and agile player who was able to score many goals. Among other advantages of Alexis were his hard work and discipline. The player was also eager to try himself in Guardiola's team, but Man United was not going to let their fierce rivals get stronger. That's why they stepped in. Mourinho insisted on the transfer, almost publicly criticizing Martial and Rashford. The Devils offered Alexis an unbelievable salary. Also, they were ready to pay more for his transfer than City, despite the agreement between the Gunners and the Citizens. Also, United promised the Chilean the number 7, a shirt which became legendary for the Manchester United players and supporters. Thus, Alexis Sanchez preferred Manchester United, changing his mind at the very last moment and becoming the highest paid player in the Premier League. But the player's career at United was quite disappointing. If someone was to blame, it was me. I know I had to play better, but I was under pressure all the time, even when I was playing only a couple of minutes, said Sanchez after he moved to Inter. Ousmane Dembélé, from Barcelona to PSG. Borussia Dortmund has become a real forge of talents, turning promising youngsters into experienced top footballers. Ousmane Dembélé was one of the most brilliant BVB players and naturally drew Barcelona's attention. Barca paid 140 million euros for the Frenchman, which is a record transfer fee for the club till now. Today, Dembélé's transfer value is a little above 30 million. Ousmane was unable to unleash in La Liga. He was injured many times and spent most of the matches in the medical center rather than on the pitch. Barcelona hardly paid so much money for a star player to see him spending most of the time out of the game. Dembélé's contract was ending in summer, and the Blaugranas were trying to sell him in winter to get at least some of the money back. Dembélé's situation hasn't changed. He knows his options and he has to make decisions. There's no other way. We still have several days before the transfer window closes, said Xavi. Barcelona wanted to get rid of the scandalous winger who didn't want to extend his contract. It didn't work. Chelsea and PSG wanted to sign Dembélé. The Frenchman himself wanted to go back to his homeland. But the Parisians were not ready to pay a big sum for a player whose contract was running out in half a year. Dembélé's case is very unusual. We've made him quite a good offer, but he asked for more and the talks stalled. We offer him a transfer to another club. He doesn't want that either, said Joan Laporta, the Barca president. In the end, the transfer failed and Ousmane Dembélé became the best La Liga assistant. He's been rumored to transfer to PSG till today, so we'll see how this story ends pretty soon. Kylian Mbappe, from PSG to Real Madrid. The most famous and expensive player in the world at the moment was transferring to Real Madrid for more than a year. Yes, we're talking about Kylian Mbappe. The story of him moving to Madrid was developing for quite a long time, and recently it came to its conclusion. In spring 2021, PSG were unable to negotiate a new contract with the player, and this year it was running out. In summer, a real hunt for the Frenchman's signature started, and Florentino Perez did all he could to grab the player. PSG was rejecting all offers from Los Blancos, and the press reported that they were offered almost 200 million euros. Incredible sum for a player who has only 1 year left on his contract. The transfer window closed and Kylian declared he was not going to stay at the club. Soon, it became known that Mbappe had agreed his move with Real Madrid. The club and the player signed a preliminary agreement in winter. The player himself hinted many times about his future move to Real Madrid. The press even reported details of the deal, but the real talks started only in April. Journalists close to PSG reported that the French club was slowly but steadily working on keeping Mbappe at the club, and eventually in May it all resolved. Mbappe signed a new 3-year contract with PSG. It is noteworthy that the conditions of the deal are just crazy. The player is going to get a salary of 60 million euros per year, huge bonuses, and an opportunity to influence the club policies, such as the appointment of the manager and signing new players. Perez was just pissed off as he thought he was dished. He threatened the Paris boards to file a complaint, but it was all in vain. Here's what Mbappe said about his decision. I hope Real Madrid will understand my desire to stay in my country. I'm a Frenchman, so I want to help this club, this competition, and this country. Are Real Madrid doors closed forever? I don't know what the future has. We're in good relations with Florentino Perez, so I don't know where I'll be in 3 years. What do you think? Was this a right decision to stay at PSG, or did Mbappe commit a fatal mistake? Let us know your opinion in the comments. See you soon.